some learning. A very good time to be able to pay attention to some learnings in the market, and that is what we are going to do. Those of you who are users of Strike, you have any questions related to topics apart from the one that we're going to cover, which is the sentiment indicators this time, we'll be open to that once I complete my part of the presentation. There are also a lot of new features that are getting added. So to be aware of them, like we've added a lot of the entire 20 years of fundamental data and screens. There'll be many more screens coming up on the valuation futures front in the next couple of days. Over the next 10 days, you can keep watching those changes and stay up to date with them, because lot of things going there so that it becomes a wholesome platform. That's what it's going to be. Anything and everything related to the market is going to be here. So coming to the core subject, without wasting any more time, sentiment indicators is what we are really talking about. How do we really capture tops and bottoms in the market using them? But I'll have to start out with both the importance of sentiment indicators and how to generally read them. Okay, so the importance really comes from a very basic thesis. We all know that stock markets are about herding, about crowd psychology. Uh, uh, we've all read that somewhere, heard that somewhere, believe in it somewhere in our hearts that market tops and bottoms are made when people turn more optimistic, extremely optimistic, and everybody starts to participate on the way up. And when all the money is in, then it turns. Like, this is all nice theory. And similarly, on the way down, pessimism increases, reaches a point where it gets extreme. Everybody jumps out of the window, or to say more lightly, out of the market or out of their portfolios, and that ends up resulting in a bottom or out of their position. So this is the kind of sentimental behavior that we see repeatedly from peak to trough, whether it's a short-term trader or whether it's a long-term investor. We go through these phases, and we've all read, if anybody's read books on investment, heard to other investors, we've all heard about buy when there's blood on the streets, and sell when the shoe shine boy is asking you about stock tips, and all these things are very nice. But some of them worked in the nice olden days when you could actually see them visually, right? So if you were living in India in 1992, 93, or even in 1994, 2 years after the Harshad Mehta scandal, the IPO market was so hot because I joined the research desk of an IPO. I mean, research desk of the Wall Street Journal in the IPO department, and we were doing a dozen IPOs per week analysis. That's how hot it was. And when you have a dozen IPOs, how do you really see that it is a craze? So if you went down on the streets of Mumbai, you would find at every corner there would be a thela wala with hundreds of forms of different companies, being kept there for people to pick up and sign up. So if you haven't seen craze, then it's possibly because post 1996 we are in an online world, and in an online world now you visually cannot see this anymore. You just cannot walk down the street and see forms. The forms are online. So how do you really know when we have reached this kind of an extreme? When is the shoe shine boy really asking you for tips if you're not really walking down the Lal Street to the shoe shine boy, right? There are no shoe shine boys on the Lal Street anymore. So there are only some of them left on Churchgate Station for those of who still travel across Mumbai. So a lot has changed in the way we operate, and specifically because of technology. But you still need to determine whether the market is at an extreme in terms of sentiment. Now, can you really draw that based on the four people that you speak to? A lot of people do that. Whenever this friend of mine sells, then it is a market bottom, or people who are handling clients say, when this client does this, then this is a market top. Now, it may work for you, but is it really market determined data? Is it really the mass that you're really studying? So you have to be able to study the mass, which has to be based on data. And fortunately for us, both technically and because of the way data is now sent out, given out by exchanges, it is possible for you to know to some extent what the masses are doing. We can either diffuse that through market-wide data, or we can really read it through available positioning in the market that is now being published every day by the exchanges. So, and it's not new. We have been tracking this data for almost 2 decades or more. I will take pauses because I do have a bad cough, though the medication is helping, but that is going to be the case. Yeah. So when your wife calls, you have to pick up the phone. Right now, uh, coming back to where we were. So basically, sentiment data is what you need to be able to capture. And like I said, we've been tracking it for more than 2 decades. I've been using it in my analysis. We often had it all over Excel sheets because it's not available on any platform, which is why I think it's unique right now. The way we've presented it and brought it together is not available anywhere, and that is what you're going to be using. And in fact, when we were doing the mentorship program, the next batch of which starts in January, we do this only once a year. When we actually reach level 3, where we're really discussing how to put everything together from Elliott waves to momentum, the last part of the whole data point is actually putting it along with sentiment, which is, what is the crowd thinking? Does it match with my wave structure? If I'm saying that we are in the fifth wave, do we have everybody bullish or everybody bearish, which sort of matches my wave count? And apart from me having my charts and data, we didn't have a place where everybody could use this information. So that has now become possible with Strike, and all our data has been put there, historical. You have 20 years now of data across breadth, market breadth, advanced declines, put call ratios, etc. In the entire positioning data from 2012, since the NSE made it available. So uh, how do we study that? How do we know that we've reached an extreme? And how to look at these data points is what we will discuss today. And like I said, because it's an online world, we have to be now data driven. We cannot just walk down the street and get a sense of what the market as a whole is thinking. We cannot depend on the 4 people we speak to. We should be basing our decisions on data itself, and that is essentially what we've been doing for a very long period of time, and that's how we've managed to capture many of the tops and bottoms pretty accurately, pretty timely. Why we are astoundingly bullish at a certain point of time is essentially the data, along with our markets structure and momentum. All that is there, but the data really helps us know that this is a point at which we should put our neck out, and that is when you're able to take bigger bets on the market, be able to size up your positions meaningfully and make the most of it. So now that we've understood the core aspect of what is sentiment, which is basically measuring the crowd psychology, not by walking down the street anymore, but by looking at data, how do we really study that data? So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll start off by getting a basic idea of how data points move. So very, very simply, most technical indicators, they can either be in a trading range or they can be outside a trading range, uh, and what we try to do with sentiment data is try to put them into a range which is typically 0 to 100. So we are putting it in the form of a percentage, so that you can actually see what percentage of people are doing something or not doing something. Some data points we cannot do that, like the actual position, so number of contracts long or short. but we do try to convert that into percentages also, so you can have both styles. So basically what we are saying is there can be a zero line. Chavan, somewhere we'll have to disable others from drawing.
Yeah, sure.
Because they are messing on the screen. The spoilers always come up, right? Some people have no discipline in life. So so most of the data points will look something like this. There may be a zero line right in between. Okay, so where we'll say, okay, this is zero. I'm calling it Z. And at the zero line, some indicators will be overbought or over. I mean, we'll have a mid range, and then there's the top side, which is around say 100%. Okay, where we can say that okay, 100% of the people are bullish or bearish, or 0%. So most of them are going to look like this. Okay, and so typically we are looking at an indicator which moves up, moves down, and whenever we reach an extreme, we would like to say that this is where the market is reaching a top, this is where it is reaching a bottom. Now, so it may be very similar to what you see in momentum indicators, but there is a slight difference. What I have noticed is that these extreme points are reached, and sometimes the extreme point is more than enough for a top or bottom. In momentum indicators, we get a lot of divergences, sometimes 2, 3, 4 also. In sentiment indicators, divergences do exist, but mostly only once, if at all. And by once, I mean that if you have the Nifty underlying moving over here, okay, so say let the Nifty is going up or the market is going up, it may stop here and then it may move higher and then peak out only at the point where the indicator is making a slightly lower top than it did here, so there may have been some small correction here, may have got the indicator down, and then finally when the market does peak, you have a slight negative divergence. Either this happens, or in many cases, and especially at the bottom, it's very rare to see divergences at the bottom. Sometimes you do, but market bottoms, because they are based on panic, everybody sells off in one go, like we saw in COVID. The extreme data point is just reached once and then we are done. At tops, it is possible that you may see one divergence, but I mean, there are cases and some indicators even at bottom have seen a divergence. So we'll see all of that. But these extreme, once you reach the extreme, you know that you're getting close, and that is where it becomes important. Okay, then sentiment indicators are also segregated based on time horizon. So some of them are useful for the extreme short term, some are useful for the medium term, and some are for the long term. Most will fit into the medium and long term. Only one or two that may be very, very short term in nature. So by segregating those time horizons, you know that whether this is the time where you have to go all in on investment side, or this is essentially a trading point from where you're getting overbought or oversold. So those two things can sort of get highlighted based on the indicator that you're really looking at. Now, this is, of course, what we have looked at is a case where an indicator moves from 0 to 100. Okay, what if it is not a 0 to 100 case? Okay, so there are some indicators which do not follow 0 to 100. So these are raw data points, just like if we see, okay, how long are FIIs? Okay, so the number of contracts, they may be long or short. Or the PCR, put call ratio, it can be, but it's not really 0 to 100. It goes to 1, it goes to 1.2, it can go to 1.4. Yes, there is a 0, but it can vary in ranges. So what we found with such indicators, which are not a 0 to 100 or a percentage.
Rohit, if you can stop your screen share and share it again, please.
I just made my screen blank, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just deleted stuff, so maybe that's why you thought it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, 0 to 100 we've already looked at. Now, if we are really studying others which are not in a 0 to 100, so what would it look like? So you could have an indicator which is moving like this. Okay. and then you find it starts doing something like this. Okay, so now what happens here is what we call as a range shift. We spoke about this even in the weekend with Indiacharts yesterday. So some of these indicators can remain for many, many years in a particular range where you're very sure that, yeah, this is the overbought or oversold level. So you can actually mark this as overbought. You can mark this as oversold. But all of a sudden, at some point of time, it gets out of this range and goes to a new range. And so at that point of time, we have to think, okay, now we've changed our overbought and oversold range to this next higher level. We can always have a range shift back to the lower end. It's always possible that, this again goes back. It's also possible this shifts to a newer level over here. Okay. So wherever it keeps changing, we have to accordingly shift. And this will remain for years. So it's not something you have to do every day. But being aware of these shifts is important because sometimes it can baffle you. This year, we have been trying to judge whether the volume put call ratio, for example, is changing its range or remaining the same. Many others have not. We have seen the shift really happen in, I think, the OIPCR for a while, since 2021, and it stayed there. So that all we look at particularly on each of the charts. But this sort of gives you an idea. So we always try to identify what is the broad range in which the market is moving, where it becomes overbought or it becomes oversold, at the top end and bottom end of these ranges. So now let's actually go to the strike platform and look at each of the sentiment indicators and how we've, and what are the categories, long term, medium term, and how to use them. So how do we get to sentiment indicators? It's just on your left-hand side. If you have not seen it, we've put the buttons here. The middle one, which says analyze, and you get sentiment. Moment you click on it, the tab will open up on top, and you have all these indicators. Now, some people, we have a manage indicator thing where, if you want to only see certain things, you can remove certain items. So you can sort of manage your display. I always have everything open. So that's how it will start. It will not remove anything unless you remove it. Okay. And there are 4 broad categories at this moment. We can always add more things as we come across them. But these are the 4 that we've developed. The first one is participant positioning. It is the net positions of the 4 categories that the NSE reports: the client positions, FIA positions, DIA positions, and the prop, right? This is very similar to in the US. For those of you who are aware, there's the CFTC, which is the Futures Trading Commission, which releases a commitment of traders report known as the COT report, which has positions across categories, managed traders, speculative traders, and so on, and tells you how much long or short they are in various futures markets, from commodities, currencies to equity indices, that is. And similarly, those are then plotted, and we try to judge when a position there's too much long or short in the S&P or in oil or in copper and so on. So we are able to now do the same thing with the data which is available from NSE. Now I'll go over the most important one first, which is wherever you see net index futures position. So you see a client net index, and you see a DII net index, okay, and you see an FII net index and a pro net index. The most commonly watched is the FII because we want to know what the foreign investors are doing. Okay, and on each of these charts, what I have done is based on my assessment of where the current overbought oversold zones are. We have put red lines ourselves. Now, wherever we find that the data tends to top or bottom. So there are 2 or sometimes 4 or 3 lines where we find. So for example, if I find that, okay, this is a point at which it is here it bottomed. So we can actually put a line here. Okay, so we are doing that to make it easier for people. You can, of course, look back and identify your own zones. But when we see FIA positioning, you will see some kind of range shifts. So we have actually changed it now because I've talked about range shifts. I'll just show you going all the way back. Data started in 2012. You notice here that every top and bottom were associated with an extreme long or short by FIs. So now I'll just use separate vertical lines than the ones we've drawn just to show you what the previous ranges were. So this was the previous range. Okay. So starting when the data started in 2012, it went up here. It peaked at around 1,76,000 contracts long, and we had a top here in the market. Similarly, a couple of months down, the market fell. It reached this low point, and at that low point, we had a short position of almost 95,000 contracts. This became a range, and then in between, I drew a zero line also in my own chart on Excel, which is somewhere here. So sometimes positions would just come back to zero, which is null and void, and then go back. So here, of course, when the market is rising, it was sort of at the top end, and then it reached here. We did see a cooling off in the market, but not significant. Subsequently, what we have is a divergence, right? I just spoke about divergences. So now we have a divergence here where positions did not make a new high, but the market did. And then eventually it rolled over. And when it rolled over to this bottom, what do we have? The same thing, extreme short position. Now, when you see this long and short extremes, it might start looking very, very simple. And it is, it should be. If you pay a little attention to price and momentum in the near term and combine it with positioning, you should be able to capture close to, at least you cannot be exactly at the top on that day, but close enough to that top or bottom at that point of time. Just give me a moment. Yeah, sorry about that. I do have an incessant cough, so I will pause once in a while. But by now, it should be very easy to observe that most of these, highs and lows that we are really seeing are associated with highs and lows in the market, whether it's this one here, whether it's this one here, and it's been the same range. The only change which happened, which you can see, is after 2015, we had possibly a shift in that range. Let's just, move the chart now. So as this shift in range happened, we've also moved our lines upwards or downwards in that time period, right? So we'd have to slightly think, okay, positions were peaking out here. Now it shifted a little up. It started to go up to over 2 lakh contracts. So I put it at around 220. Now this has broadly been the range post 2015 all the way till here. Peak positions were always at near around 200,000 plus contracts. Bottom end was at around, minus, very barely minus. In fact, it didn't go to an extreme short. So we can still see that here it did go down to maybe 70,000-80,000 contracts, but here it did not. It was barely at the zero line. So the zero line is always been this midpoint where sometimes in a trending phase, you come back to zero, there's no position, and then it goes back long, and then zero, and then back long. And only when you have a big decline like this, you went back to an extreme short position down here, almost at 80, 90,000 contracts. Okay, so this has been the behavior of participant positioning for the based on FIIs. Okay, we're only looking at FII right now. So from 2018 onwards, again, we saw positions come down, and that is where I've drawn these red lines now. This is the current range that it has been following since 2018-19, with most of the peaks happening at near and above 100, 120,000 contracts. But at the downside, we have been seeing bigger shorts than ever. So here there was a shift to more longs than before, going to 200,000, and before demonetization here almost to 300,000 contracts before it actually cooled off. But here in this next period, we are seeing more short side buildups. Shorts are going to extremes. We reached at COVID, we reached 1,73,000. This week we have reached 1,76,000. So this is where it becomes really interesting. In the seminar, timing is very apt that we are right now witnessing an extreme positioning, okay, from FIIs, which is down here at 1,74,000 contracts. This is the second highest on record because it's higher than COVID. Now, of course, COVID could have gone higher because SEBI put a ban on FII sales. But broadly, this is now the range. It helped even, in fact, in March 2023, when I was overly optimistic, essentially a combination of sentimental factors. This was, of course, one of them, that this had become the highest short on record at 1,96,000 contract, 94 or 96. Yeah, 1,94 it's showing here, 195, 500 if I take the exact date. Yeah, 196,378 on 22nd of March. So 1,96,000 contract short on the 22nd of March was banged here at the bottom of 16,800, 900, from where we've seen a substantial rally. And so similarly here at August, we did see a peak position of 90,000. I didn't give it that much importance. I think because I thought the market still had some legs, the mid caps were still strong. But now what we have is a divergence. So what we spoke of in the beginning, the possibility of a divergence, we've actually seen it develop over here. Okay. And this ended up being a negative divergence at the recent peak, from where we've now reached an extreme negative sentiment. So you broadly you should have understood by now how we are using this data. It will have this range remains fixed till something changes. It can always change. You get a severe bear market. Why can't 2 lakh shorts become 3 lakh shorts? It is possible. But broadly, at most tops and bottoms, this seems to work. So right now, looking at 196,000 contract short, what I anticipate is that this bounce that we are seeing, which is still very, very nascent, can become bigger. Okay. What we don't know is, are we going to go back to an extreme long position, or are we simply going to go back to zero and then fall again, which means shorts get covered and then again they start selling. Those are two possible outcomes. Based on the structure, we have to make that choice. Like I'm making a choice that, okay, this is a counter trend bounce, can retrace 61%. So at 61% retracement, somewhere I will try to think, okay, is this really come back up? Has it come to at least covered the shorts, if not gone long? If that is the case, do we have a case for a top? There is something we have to start considering. Okay, the other is, of course, that the market continues higher and this also continues higher. So this is how we will look at it on an ongoing basis. But when we reach an extreme is where it's most interesting, right? That is where you know that this is not a time to be short. Now that if we reach down here, and in fact, sometimes you have these minor divergences. So you can see this small little higher bottom, the positioning actually went down in the last few days. So they went more short at this slightly higher bottom, which is also a bullish divergence. And now from there, you've made a higher high in price. So that's, to me, it's a sign that this has to continue for a while till at least these shorts get covered. So that's how it tells you you're able to judge which side of the market you need to be on for the current time being. Now, the opposite of FII for a very long time was client. So in 2012, there was actually no DII position, no pro position. There used to be mostly everything used to be FII only. Okay. So because and so it was FII and client, they would be the opposite sides of the equation. That still remains true to some extent, though we've seen DII positions build up in the last 4 to 5 years, which we'll look at also, because they give us some very long-term indications. But in the medium term, FII and client are very useful. So just like we saw FII positions reach an extreme on the short side, we simultaneously see client positions reach an extreme here on the short side. Okay, on the long side, sorry, which was not true here. It was not extreme long. So you see client had covered their shorts here at this bottom. So that was a good sign. And then they went short again. But now they're long at this bottom. Now, to some people, it may be a surprise that at every bottom, FIs have the maximum short and client has the maximum long. So who's more intelligent? The FIs tend to probably be hedgers. There may be multiple reasons why that happens. They also do some structural selling, which is as the market falls more, they sell more. It falls more, they sell more. And so therefore, just because it is structural hedging, they end up hedging the most when the market has fallen the most. So it just ends up happening because of that. But the client side is very different. It is not only retail investors, it includes every category apart from Pro and DII. So Pro is a prop desk, which can be with financial institutions or brokers and so on. But HNIs, corporates, all of them get included in client along with retail. So it's really not going to be all retail. So if an extreme long position seems to work, it may have to do with some of the strong hands being represented here that end up being long at the bottom. This is how we'll think about it between smart money and weak money. So every low point, you'll find long positions reaching the top end near around 120,000, 130,000 contracts. Okay, so it happened here, it happened at this bottom, happened at this bottom, has started to happen again at the recent bottom. Now, whether the importance of a bottom can vary. Okay, these bottoms, it may appear we got very big rallies. Will the next one also be similar? Is what you have to guess. You have to bet, you have to guess, like it happened here, COVID. Okay. But again, it's a market type because we don't have data in a bear market. Like say, for example, this was in a different range because of the previous time period. But even in a zigzag market like this, going up, going down, going up, going down, you will see positions going from extreme long to short. So it's not just reaching that point when you're in a trending market. It's also in an up-down market that, and in fact, in an up-down market, sentiment data works beautifully. Because you can capture all the highs and lows very, very quickly based on some of these data points, like we saw for FI. Now, this is what we call an up-down market, right? It falls, it retraces, it falls, it retraces. In a trending market like this, bullish one way, you won't see it go to an extreme short. You may find that extreme long positions happen at some of the near-term tops like this one, and then it just consolidates. The positioning comes down, so you can always draw a midline. You can say, okay, this is where it comes down to. So in a bull market, it may just vary within this range. Just like we put a zero line on the short to long, we can put a line here. This is at around minus 20,000. So it's slightly less than zero. So just as all the longs get given up, go a little slightly short and the market bounces back. It never reaches an extreme short because the underlying trend of the market is very strong. Okay, and this may be true for all sentiment indicators. Okay, not just the FII positioning. So when you're in a trending market, it will tend to behave like this. But in a bear market, because bear markets have bear market rallies which are very strong, often retracing 50 to 60% of each leg. So it falls, then it retraces, then it falls, it retraces. Now these are very deep retracements. If you go into 2008, where retracements were not so deep, or even 2015, you will find retracements happen, then it falls, retraces. These times you get very good signals of extreme long short positioning. Okay. And if not not in one data, in some of the other data, which we'll go to. I'm just using one data point to give you an idea of how sentiment works. Okay. Now let's just look at DII. Now DII works for slightly longer term. Okay. their data would be very, very small. See, 2012, 13, very little long short. After 2018, 19, you're seeing a lot of variation now. Okay, so their participation has significantly increased, and now they're beginning to give us signals of tops and bottoms. So now it has become really interesting. Okay. So now by looking at DI positions, I'm able to say when DIs are reaching this top end maximum long, you have an important bottom. Same here, same here, same here. And when they're extremely short, like here, what happened? This ended up being an important top from where the Nifty couldn't take out this high for quite a while. And then again, at this point, they were short. Okay. So they were short running into this top. You might find some divergence, some negative divergence, and then a reversal. So similarly, they were also short at this top, 2018. This is the point. Actually, this is the point where mid caps made their major top. And then this was a lower high that they made. And after that, so throughout this period, mid caps were going down, even though Nifty held up. But broadly, what I'm trying to show here is how positioning really told us something about the market. Now, we don't have something like that over here. So this doesn't look like an extreme bottom or top from a DII positioning point of view. So FIIs are indicating some kind of a rally. DIs are not indicating anything as of this moment. And that's why I said this is slightly more longer term. Only at extreme points do they have major positioning. Many other points, it can be like not telling us anything because it's not a major reversal point. Pro has very less data, so I'll not go into Pro. Now, what we have done for some of the data, we also decided to plot it in percentage terms. So if I'm looking at FII net index, okay, I have two choices here. I can either go up here, look at it in percentage terms. This can also be helpful. So if I'm looking at what is the FII position in percentage terms, long to short, and that is plotted as a ratio between 0 and 100. So when it's closer to the bottom end, you know it's getting oversold. When it's closer to the top end, it's getting overbought. Okay, we put ranges here based on the past. You can make your own judgment of the range. But this tells you something sometimes in a different way, which may not be visible sometimes in the net futures position may not have reached an extreme, but the percentage might have. You also included a net index position, wherein options and futures both are netted together, all the longs and shorts, to tell you that this is the net position, because the daily file which NSE gives includes not just futures, which is what this chart is all about, but also includes options. So it has the long, short, long call, long put, all of that. So if you net it up, what does it really look like? So this is sort of a net positioning. So it's a number again. So you see it in number of contracts over here, 5 lakh, 2 lakh. So it's now a number of contracts, long or short, netting all the data. One more interesting thing we found later doing that, sometimes we found that FIAs and client both were long or both were short. So we said, why not just add up all the position, client and FII, okay, and then plot it together, which also was useful at certain turning points because both were ending up being long or short, and that told us something about the market. So like at this bottom in March, the net positioning was together at this negative extreme. And similarly at this high, it was at the top extreme. So useful again to, sometimes read the total rather than just reading, standalone, because both of them may be giving you a signal. So that's why we have so many things, but you can make your life simple simply by looking at the index futures. Okay, for those to start with, I think for anybody new, just look at FI index futures, and for slightly longer term, look at DI index futures. That should sufficiently help you capture most of the highs and lows in the market, medium term and long term. Now, before I go to the momentum swing, which is based on our proprietary tool, I'll go to derivative data because a lot of people will be far more familiar with some of the derivative data. Okay, everybody knows what is a put call ratio. If you don't, quick summary, the put call ratio is nothing but a division of total puts to total calls. So all we are doing is put put open interest. Okay. And we are dividing it by all open interest. And what I do is I don't do only Nifty. I know a lot of people plot just Nifty Y PCR. I try to put the entire market. So then we are taking stocks also into account, and all the indices, Nifty, Bank Nifty, uh, financial services, whatever is available. All options call, all options put, total open interest, divide it, you get the OIPCR, we call it. Okay, open interest based put call ratio. Now the same thing we also do based on volume. So that is volume of puts traded divided by volume of calls traded. And this is then known as the volume based put call ratio. This is what people are less aware of, I have found over time, because nobody really studies options analysis. But fortunately, I was schooled on it 2 decades ago, and therefore I have plotted the data since it was available in 2002. In fact, if you read about the CBOE put call ratio, which is on the S&P, it is essentially a volume based put call ratio and not an OI based. So in India, we end up looking a lot at the OI based, which is more shorter term in nature, whereas the volume based is slightly more medium to longer term in nature. So this is a very important distinction. And you'll see that in the charts also, when you see the volume PCR moving very, very slowly from top to bottom, whereas the OI PCR gyrating all over the place. Okay, so but these are simple two formulas. Now, because the raw data is slightly messy, all I have done is I've run a 9-day exponential moving average on this. Okay, and I think a 10 or 13 days. So let us just see a 14-day. Okay, so in a 14-day exponential moving average on this, just to smooth out the data and make it look nicer. So when you see the OIPCR, so which is more shorter term, let us look at that first. Okay, you see it gyrating up and down. So this is a 9-day average of the options open interest put call. This also can have ranges. So these vertical lines I've drawn was based on the range it was following 2018, 2020. Every time it was reaching this top end, it was getting overbought. Reaching this bottom end, it was getting oversold. Okay, so all the bottoms were occurring near this region, sometimes with a divergence, and all the tops were occurring at this point. Then there was a slight shift here. So I redrew these lines, and now we've seen a further shift. Now this has shifted down. So if you actually see long term, based on the bullish and bearish scenario of the market, I think it tends to shift up and down, is what I realized. So it moved up as the market was bullish here. As the market, then it moved down again, then it moved up again. Okay, and then it's moving down again. But in this up and down, it remains in a range. So down here, it is now in a separate range, which is sort of this. So we're tending to see most of the tops near this upper blue line. Okay, so if you now closely look, you'll find this top occurring exactly here. And this one occurring here, this one occurring, so on and so forth. This one didn't reach the top end, this one did. Now, some of them just lead to a short-term decline. This one may be more relevant, okay, with a divergence, and then this one at the recent top. Now we are at the bottom end of this range at this point. So this sort of tells us that, okay, we have a case for a short-term move up because we're at the bottom end of the range. So the OIPCR tends to move with the market. If market goes up, the OIPCR goes up. Market goes down, the OIPCR goes down. And in that sense, it gives you a short-term range movement. But the volume PCR is really interesting in terms of making its long-term calls on the market. See, it doesn't gyrate in the short term, it gyrates much more in the medium term. And so for a long period of time, I was able to plot this broad range. See, we have now data for this going all the way back. Like I said, PCR data, we have all the way back till 2002. It only introduced in India, I think 2001 is where trading started. And this data then became available. So ever since I've plotted it and kept it, and we are now put it here. So you can see at least one bear market like 2008. How did the volume PCR behave? So prior to 2008, it was in this range, as you can see. All the tops and bottoms were able to be called based on this range. So every time the market fell, you would find the volume PCR move up. And similarly, every time the markets move down, and the volume PCR is basically inversely correlated to price itself. So when the volume PCR is here, the market is at the bottom, which means too many puts are being traded because this market fell. People were too bearish. Volume PCR high means too many puts are being traded, and that is why it marks a bottom. And similarly, when you reach a top, you've gone all the way up here. There are too many calls being traded, so it goes down. And when you reach this extreme, it signals that you have reached a top. Okay, so all the market tops here are associated with a very, very low reading on the volume PCR, which is basically very few puts being traded. Okay, now we are not talking about open interest. We are not talking about call writers and call buyers. We are talking about just the volume, which is very different. So when we see OIPCR, then we are talking about writers. Okay, how much calls did they sell and how much is open? If it is open, means there are buyers and sellers that have left it open, right? So that's the writers on one side and the buyers on the other side. But here we are looking at just the volume, not what is open at the end of the day, just how much volume got traded. And that is very, very different. So the volume is more a sentiment behavior. When markets fall and there is panic, people tend to trade more puts. That's just as simple as it is. So here, when nobody's trading any puts, you're at the top of 2008, top of that bull market. But as increasingly you see puts getting traded, you can see the volume PCR. So this is where the volume PCR went through a large trending move. Okay. Actually, used to draw parallel channel around it. So you can even do things like that. I used to do this on my Excel sheet. I draw a parallel channel because this is a trending phase. It kept moving up till it broke the channel, which is a sign of a reversal. So this is how classic technicals can also be applied on top of indicators. So now during this bear phase, yes, it didn't follow any current. It didn't follow the previous range. It actually broke out of this range and kept going higher till we reached a point of extreme. Now, amazingly, is that after that extreme, we ended up getting a range shift, which is where the current red lines are. So these current red lines since 2008 have been sort of here. Okay, I've probably tightened it a bit after in time, after some time, but this has been broadly where you're getting tops and bottoms above and below these red lines. Okay, so you may think you want to widen it a bit. And in this also, again, you get either a top or a bottom at an extreme reading, same thing. So if you have this extreme reading here, this is a top. Okay, and sometimes you may get a divergence. So it fell to this bottom, then it fell further. So you made a lower bottom, but the volume PCR didn't make a it didn't make a higher top, right? So there's a divergence between the two. More selling, but the PCR didn't go higher, which means not more puts being traded at a lower price. And that is a bullish divergence. So you can get bullish and bearish divergences as well in this indicator. But many a time, like here, this lowest point got associated with this low reading, very high reading in the volume-based PCR. So this is very relevant to medium to longer term investors because the extremes are not reached every day. They are reached once in a year. As you see here, 2013, 2014, so you don't reach these extremes every day. The last time you reached the bottom end was here in 2018. Then it went up. It went up and reached this extreme point only year after COVID. And in that also, possibly there is a divergence. Possibly, I need to check the actual reading year to year. Okay, between this sell-off, it didn't make a much higher. This was not a great panic in terms of puts being traded, surprisingly, maybe because it went one way down that after a point of time, people were not excessively trading the options. Also, margins would have gone up and so many other things, reasons why that happened. But once again, we were back at the lower end, okay, which is down here, exactly when we topped out at 18,600 in October 2021. The PCR was at the bottom red line. So it's easier to see these things in hindsight, but that's why I'm showing you in current that you can actually see where we are today, and in the recent period also how it has worked. So as we reach this red line or crossed it, we got the bottom of 15,200. So I was aggressively bullish over there. And this is one of the reasons, along with FII. So now you think of the combination. FII is having a maximum short at 15,200. And then volume PCR being at top of the red line. And you might find a couple of other tools also, which come together. And when that happens, then you want to really think about being positive on the market at that point of time. Again, in March of this year, 16,800, the volume PCR actually. So here now what is beginning to happen, and I'm beginning to wonder, because it surpassed all the previous ranges in March of 23. I was wondering whether is it just an extreme or what is going on, or is this a range shift again? Because now we are clearly seeing this go higher. So maybe we are getting a range shift in progress. Maybe it's time to draw some kind of channel around this. That might be more helpful. Give me a moment. What I can say though, what we have achieved over here is we have come very close to the levels that were seen at this bottom. Okay, so coming close to this point, should I think that we are reaching another bottom, or is it going to go to the top end? So at least a short-term setup is there for a bounce, and we look at some short-term sentiment indicators also that help us think about these things. That will make it a little easier to understand. Okay, but you got a sense how volume PCR has given so many medium-term signals. If at least from now when you're looking very big picture, if I really zoom in, okay, look at it this way, that if you're really trading, every time it's up here, what do you want to be doing? It touches this red line, I want to be a buyer over here. It crosses here, I want to be a buyer here. It reaches this, I want to be a buyer here. It's very simple that if this is your time horizon, okay, which is a couple of months, you had so many bottoming signals that would tell you to be a buyer at that point of time. And similarly, if it was down here, it would tell you that this is a point to be selling. And that was the top for the mid caps at least. So these kind of readings repeatedly, it gives you those timing points where some kind of a medium term turn is happening, and sometimes those turns end up being long term turns as well. Like this is most classic, right? We got the reading at the October top, right at the bottom end of this range. So now with volume PCR, there are a couple of other things that have plotted over time. One is the difference between calls and puts. Okay. This actually tells you what the writers are doing. Are they selling more puts? Are they selling more calls? So when you have a strong rally, you will see more red than green. So you actually see that there's a lot of put selling. And during this phase, you'll see a lot of green over here. So more green than red, a lot of call selling happening. This is essentially the difference between calls and puts. Instead of doing call divide by put, we are doing call minus put. So we're just plotting the crores in value of crores. How many more calls are there than puts at that point of time? Somebody's messing with the screen again. So as we do this, there's also one more interesting thing that I've taken away over time. So I'm going to tell you. You can see I've put dotted lines over here. Now, and during every phase, there is this range. Okay, this is a range in which calls and puts reach an extreme. So I've been doing this all the way since 2018. I started noticing it on the put side. At that time, you never used to get put writing of more than 30,000 contracts. So every time it would cross 30-40,000 contracts, the market would be, which means that the writers are very, very bullish. For that particular month, the market will not come down because so much writing has been done that you're unlikely to see a rebound. But at the end of the month, most of the writing clears out, and there is always a chance that the market will pause, consolidate, or even give you a trend reversal. Okay, so this is the reason to look at this data. So now we make it current. Say just take the recent expiry. What ended up happening when it was falling over here is call writing reached an extreme. It crossed this red line, which it has done through this period. So when there's so much writing, the market just continued to fall. It fell till expiry day. It only rebounded after that. So that can sometimes happen. If there's excessive writing or so. At the same time, a lot of this spike, a big spike in this or the green line, can also mean that short term, there's over pessimism, and you are coming close to a bottom also. So it may be till expiry, it's not bottoming, but this is just one day before expiry. And so after expiry, it's done. Like, you've sold too much. Same thing happened here. A lot of selling happened, green spikes, and then it sort of bottoms over here in the next couple of days. So what it tells you is you can tighten your stop loss, tighten your trail your levels really tight, is what it tells you when you get extreme put writing, call writing. And same way, when you get extreme put writing, also we've seen markets sometimes just pause. So you see this point, big red bar down here, and paused here for 2 days at least. Okay, so that's how you would read into this for the very, very short term. Now, some of the other indicators here are again long term, which means the futures open interest. It's not something you look at in one day. In fact, I would like to put it on a log scale. So when you see futures open interest, you'll find that historically it keeps rising. Okay, and what I really look for in it is whether it's rising to a new high or new low when the market goes up. So if the market continues to rise, does it really rise with it? We can even in fact draw some long-term channels around it. Then later, what I thought while looking at this data is that if futures open interest is going up, is it only going up because of the market? Market went up, open interest went up. So to some extent, it is just the value of the underlying going up. And to some extent, it is actually new positions being taken. So how much is how much? So there was a need for normalizing this data, which means I need to divide this data maybe by the index itself. So that is what we have done here. You see futures OI divided by index. So let's click on that and see. What ends up happening is you actually end up with a range. Okay. So now when you have a range historical, and again, you can put that on a logarithmic scale. Okay. You can actually draw a high-low range. So I can say, okay, this is where it topped out the last time. So I draw a horizontal line. Okay. This was peak position 2008. This is peak position just before this top over here, 2010 months before that. Does that really work? Okay, so let us see. We reached peak position here, 2018. That's the peak of mid caps. Even though the Nifty went up, you had a divergence, which means nobody is really willing to buy this rise. Not the strong money, at least. Market going higher, but positions going down. And that's because stocks actually topped out here. The mid cap and broad market indices were going down. Just the Nifty holding up. And that's reflected in this weakening position. But nobody is willing to buy this new high. Now, here we've reached the blue line again. What does that mean? Does it mean that we are at a major top? So that is a warning that I've been sounding out, that it took time. Here even in 2010, we almost got to the blue line. Okay, this time we are pretty much close. But if we actually shift this higher, we can even say, oh, well, it hasn't reached that line. And the same is also true at the bottom end, right? So it's not just that me drawing a top line here. I can also draw a bottom line, maybe down here. Okay. Or maybe a little higher at this point. So this point was probably reached here. 2006 was reached again here. In 2014, there was a lot of unwinding. We haven't come back there again. So this COVID did not bring us really down to the bottom end. In fact, sometimes you can even spot a near-term divergence, as I can see over here, that as this was happening, we actually saw positions reducing into the final high. So this can also be a way to read this in the very near term. Now let me go to an indicator which has been very useful in the short term, useful in trading options, and also useful in sorry in picking near-term highs and lows. Okay, so gives you very nice twists and turns. Now this is not for medium term and long term. Essentially for people looking at 2 days, 5 days, not significantly beyond that. Okay, its relevance is not in capturing a trend, but just telling you that you've reached a point where the market can pause for a couple of days. If it has to reverse, it can even reverse depending on the market type or situation. But the implication is really short term. Okay, so what it results in, a short term pause or reversal, is the market condition. But it's useful in that sense that you can get these extreme overbought, oversold readings where short-term traders can, increase, decrease their position size. Option traders can significantly book, gains or add to their positions when you get to an extremely oversold or overbought condition. So this is what we call as the swing. Okay, and there's also an average swing. This is based on the Rohit momentum indicators. What is a Rohit momentum indicator? It's a simple momentum indicator of the security that you're studying, right? Let's just think of it as rate of change. So we find that the rate of change for particular stocks is going up, some of them is going down. We decided that we should measure it across the FNO basket. So is the RMI rising for all the FNO stocks or falling for all the FNO stocks? And let us plot that as a percentage. So if we plot rising RMI as a percentage, what would it look like is the daily swing. And if we plot the 9 EMA of the RMI and measure whether it's going up or down, then it becomes the average swing. So you have two indicators here. One is slightly faster, the daily swing, and one which is slightly slower, which is the average swing. Okay. And both are useful because the daily swing can quickly go overbought, oversold, and capture those movements. When the daily and average swing both get overbought and oversold together, then you know a slightly more important twist, short term, may be coming. Again, I'm saying short term. Okay. So here, for example, at this recent low, the daily swing reached a very low reading of 5, not seen in quite a while. So that was a very oversold condition where you don't want to, hang on to your shorts, wait for a bounce before you add again. Similarly, you can get extreme readings on the upside. You can get a reading like here. So there are two extreme points. One is 80, one is 90. At the bottom also, we've put it at 20 and we've put it at 10. So sometimes markets rebound from a reading of 20. Sometimes they go all the way back to 10 or sub 10. Both can tell you something about the market. Okay. So like for example, here now we have a reading of 7 single digits. What you got is a 2-day bounce back. So not necessary that it was a major reversal, but it did give you a 2-day bounce, which you could have, looked into. So at those points of time, say if I have an exposition, I would like to think, okay, let me reduce some of it. If it does bounce, I get a chance to, add it back. So that kind of thinking is actually possible. And here, when you reach down here, you actually had a positive divergence. So again, the same concept of divergences can work. You've fallen lower, but now this has made a higher bottom and moved up a bit. That sort of gave you a better reading that, yeah, you're bottoming out. We're in the process of bottoming out. Now, when you get high readings here also, it reached almost 90. What did you get? You got a short-term top from where it has pulled back. So that's why I said it's a short-term indicator. Here you got a reading of 95. Here, sold off. again a reading of 90, paused, and later on it did decline. But the important thing is that it at least paused for the time being. It tells you to think. Those are points at which it tells you to think on the trend, on the setup, and manage positions better. So very, very useful for short term and options traders. And as I mentioned, if you combine it with average swing, like recently we had a reading of 5 on the swing and we had a reading of 7 on the average swing. Both are very, very low. So when you get a combined low reading, that means that gives it more importance here at this bottom. Similarly, I think at this top, you had the average swing also at 87 and the daily swing also at a high. But again, here you see high reading, but all you got was a pause. So that's why I say it's a pause or a reversal. Whether it's going to be a pause or a reversal, it depends on your view. But definitely it pauses there and gives you time to think, allows you to position size and help you manage your positions better. So now the AD ratio, everybody who studied technical analysis would be aware of advanced decline. And advanced decline, I think I have not seen it plotted properly anywhere in a proper format. It can be very erratic data, which is why I've had to run a moving average. So I run two moving averages. One is a 20-day advanced decline ratio and one is a 40-day advanced decline ratio. And every book on advanced declines has this thing known as the AD summation index. In India, it tends to behave very differently than the US, but still then I plot it for whatever utility it may have. It may not make sense to everybody, but we have plotted the indicator where we are basically doing a summation of the daily advances and declines. So if 1,000 stocks were up today and 500 were down, 1,000 minus 500 is 500. Then tomorrow, if say 1,000 are up and 700 are down, then 1,000 minus 700 is 300. And all we are doing is we adding it up. So day one is 500. Day two, we say 500 plus 300 becomes 800. So we keep adding the next day's difference to the previous data and plot it as an indicator. So we'll come to that. But before that, we look at the simplest thing, which is the 20-day AD ratio, which is for short term. Okay. And 40-day AD ratio, which is for medium term. So this 20-day AD ratio very quickly gyrates from highs to lows, overbought to oversold. I've put ranges here again, the red lines based on where it has worked for most of this history. Okay, so it's almost been in this range, I think now since 2002. So we've really not had any range shifts in the AD ratio, thank God. Some spikes, of course, like this, but eventually it's gone back to this range. So you have two red lines on the top and bottom, extreme overbought and overbought, extreme oversold and oversold. So sometimes you see this top occurs exactly at the first red line, and then there are others which go above the red line. Again, concept of divergences does apply. At some spikes, that is the top, and sometimes you get a divergence. Now in AD ratios, divergences are common. Okay, so you will find many divergences at tops and bottoms. It is rare that it's a spike into the top or bottom. But what you do get to know is where you are. So when you are at the bottom end here, you know that you're supposed to start looking for a trend reversal. That's what it tells you well in advance and allows you to prepare for that situation. A very strong AD ratio like this can also mean that it is a start of a large trend like this. Big spike. Yes, you may have got a short-term bottom, but big spike in breadth is a sign that a lot of stocks are starting to move in a particular direction. And that can be a sign of trend also. So it may often happen you get a big spike just at the start of an uptrend, but rarely like this, you got it at the end of this bull market. Now you see huge gyrations in a bear market. Why? Because bear market rallies are sharp. Everything moves up together, then everything crashes together, then everything moves up together. And you see this wild range going on for the breadth. Then after that, it normalized back to this previous range, which it has been in for most of this time period. Okay, so the methodology of application is same. We have seen one variation here. So it's very taken a lot of time to reach the first red line. And the reason for this, which has never happened before in such a small correction, usually you would have been at the red line already. Reason is between this and this, the mid and small caps in India were furiously going up. And due to that ferocity, we really didn't see the AD ratio come down much. So this was something new that we had to experience, but it's not typical. So we have still only reached the first trade line, which tells us that yeah, we have a mildly oversold condition. And if we do get a reversal, then we should pay attention to it. Now the RMI has given a buy signal, I think, on the Nifty yesterday. So in that sense, probably this is a good oversold reading. Will we really go back only to this level or higher? Needs to be seen. It can always come back depending on the market condition. If it's a strong trend, it can go back all the way to the top line also. But yeah, this is where we are right now. 40-day AD ratio captures more medium-term bottoms and sometimes major panics. Major panics are when it goes like this, breaks the red line and goes far lower, which is what happened in COVID. But it also happened back here, 2008, throughout the bear market. It happened here in 2006. So these extreme readings all occurred during phases where we had major panics. Okay, and either it's during a bear market. So all the bear markets tend to be furious, right? Everything falls sharply, so you get an extreme reading on the downside. Then it rallies back and go back to the top red line again to this broad range. So this is what was happening throughout 2008, and each of these extreme lows were the bottoms. So this is what is great about bear markets or range bound markets, is that you'll get overbought, oversold readings which perfectly work. In a trending market, because it's going up more, all the sell signals may have divergences or may extend longer. But in an up down market, it's beautiful. And in an up down market, you want to use these indicators, and possibly the next 2 years would be very, very important in that front. I mean, all the highs and lows of this phase, like this up down phase, you could have caught just by looking at the FIA positioning, which we discussed earlier, or by looking at the 20-day AD ratio going from oversold to overbought to oversold to overbought. But I sort of perfectly caught it, like this extreme reading at this top, this extreme reading at this bottom, and then this one at this top, and so on. So this kind of an up-down market is the perfect instrument indicators to use. So that sort of covers, I think I've covered all the sentiment indicators. They are at very, very interesting junctures, many of them hitting oversold, which is why shorter term we expect some momentum. We are trying to judge how far that goes, but this is what the reading is. Even on the average swing, we haven't really reached the top end. We are not yet at, say, even 80%. So we are at 64, which still leaves some room for us to go higher, even though on the daily swing, we did touch 90 yesterday, which tells us that there could be a 1 to 2 day pause coming somewhere. With that, Chavan, I'll leave it to you to open the floor to questions on anything on strike, including this.
You can quickly, you can just go through the heat maps and diffusion and everything quickly within 2 minutes. You can just show them where it is and everything. Rohit.
So Chavan, can I request you to do it, because my throat is burning out right
Sure, sure. Yeah. So, there is three things over here. One is the analyze, discover, and learn on the top, on the left-hand side. So, Rohit, if you can just go to the heat maps, please. We'll just go through the analyze function first. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So in heat maps, we have the three divisions here: NSE indices, FNO basket, and of course the advanced decline intraday. In NSE indices, you can actually see the index on the left hand side and the stocks on the right hand side. The performance for today, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year YTD. You can also have your own custom dates. So accordingly, you can do the relative strength analysis on this. Okay, and you can also further filter it out based on the performance. Like if you want to see only 2 to 5 percentage returns, if you can just click on that this one, right? Yes. So this is lesser than 5%. You can further filter it out whatever you wish to want to. This is how the heat map works. Of course, we have the same for FNO as well as for the intraday advanced decline intraday. And further on the analysis section, we have the futures and options coming up. Of course, Rohit has taken you over with the sentiment indicators already. The FIA data and the ratio charts. We have the segregation between the FIA DI and the derivatives data over here. You can check it out that also. Of course, we have the ratio charts where you can compare between two charts. Of course, we have bifurcated the FIDI data into daily, monthly, and yearly. You can just go through it. Since this is a more of a sentiment indicator discussion, I'm just limiting it to it. What you can do is you can just, if you don't understand anything, just click on the video which is there next to the share button. Okay, and a proper discussion has been a proper explanation has been given over here. Go through it. Okay, so this is how the strike works. So web.strike.money. If you have not signed up, this is the right time. Please give this URL web.strike.money to your fellow traders and friends who are into markets. They can use it. Of course, it is for free right now. Before we go into the subscription model, you can explore each and every functionality. I'm sure you will have a great experience using this tool. So yes, so yeah, this is the.
You want to quick also show the.
Sorry, Rohit.
The fundamentals that have been added. That is
yes, we have added even the fundamental section over here for each and every stock. What you need to do is you just need to type your favorite stock in the global search, okay, which is there at the top. Okay, just type your favorite stock and then go to the fundamental section. Right now, we have the quarterly P&L, quarterly and annual P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, and financial ratios available. Of course, if you want a light version, you can go on a light version by clicking on your profile section and you can just change it. Okay, so, and of course, each and every section over here is bifurcated into table and chart. So, some people would love to see only the chart, some people would love to see the table. So we have given every bit of it for people who wants to see however they wish to. And right now we have only NSE data. We don't have the BSE data. The first thing is in all this fundamental section, it's not only the actual numbers but also the growth percentage we have added. If you can go to table, Rohit. Yeah. No, the balance sheet. Yes, here if you can type even the growth percentage. Okay, year on year, quarter on quarter growth percentage numbers has been given. There are a lot of ratios what we have covered already, almost like 50 ratios we have covered. We have done much more than what others are doing. I'm sure this is a single system where you get every bit of information right from fundamentals to technicals to futures, options will be going live from next week onwards. We'll be having the relative rotation graphs coming up this month. So a lot of functionalities, and I'm sure this is going to be a one-stop solutions to all your data requirement. Yes. So
I
this is
just
what
one thing, Chavan, I just want to add one thing. So in the quarterly chart, I mean in the quarterly PNL as well, you can actually see the growth numbers. So if you can click on the drop down, and over here, basically you can check the growth numbers YOY or QOQ as well. So, many of the times, if the market is in a very bullish phase, then they might actually want to see growth on a QOQ basis as well, or else the market punishes them. So that is where, QOQ analysis can also become very important. So Q on Q is nothing but quarter on quarter. What is the growth that is happening? So especially for the secular stocks, this becomes very important. And I had actually noticed that many of the people haven't take cognizant of this tab which we have added. So yes, I mean, you all can also check the growth numbers, quarter on quarter and year on year basis in the quarterly PNL.
Yeah. And right now it is not live data. We are having 5 minutes delayed data. Please note, it's a 5 minutes delayed data what we are having. We wish to go live probably in the month of December. We'll see if we can get a good response, and if you're sharing this web.strike.money to all your friends and many more people start using, definitely we'll switch over to live data. We are hoping to do it in the month of December. So yeah, this is the tool it is. So start using it if you have still not used it. I'm sure this will help you in your daily analysis. You don't need to use hundreds of tools. We have a robust trading view charts also everywhere. If you can just go to chart section and this one, Rohit. Yeah, of course, you can, switch over the tabs. You can swipe it and rearrange your tabs however you wish to. We have a robust trading view charts over here where you can add your indicators. You can add the indicators and you can load the charts. Yes, so this is what functionalities, what is there. I'm sure you'll have a great experience using it. You can, draw the trend lines. You can save it. You can, you can save your chart layouts also. How the same way how it is behaving in actual trading view, you can do it here also. So your requirement for trading view also is fulfilled over here. And of course, we have the scanner module coming up. There are a lot of scanners already available. Of course, we have the Rohit momentum setup here, Rohit indicators. We have a lot of scanners coming up. Of course, something called as screeners. We are building it where you can just create your own scanners. So that is what we are doing right now. So a lot of functionalities will be coming in the coming month. So stay tuned and please use Strike, web.strike.money, and don't forget to share this. You can, yeah. So we have the RMI scanner also, the Dow trend scanner. Most of you, if you are following technical analysis, you must be knowing what is Dow trend, the higher high, higher low concept. The Rohit momentum indicator is of course available. The Dow trend scanner is available over here. We are covered both on hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly charts. It is nothing but a higher high, higher low concept. So this is what the entire Strike tool is all about. Now what we'll do is you can raise your hands, you can ask your questions. I'm sure Rohit will be answering. Yeah. So Shankaran Raghunathan, I'm just unmuting you. You can please ask your doubts.
Okay, thank you, Shankaran here. It's been an interesting presentation. This is the first one I've attended on Strike. I got to know about Mr. Srivastava and what he does recently, so I'm looking forward to using it. But here are my questions. On whatever you've shown us in terms of the indicators, does your system have a provision for me to do back testing based on whichever indicator that I'm picking so that I can determine the kind of returns that a particular strategy would give?
Shakran, right now we don't have the backtesting tool readily available. We are building it. It's already there in the pipeline. So, but it might take some time before we build the backtesting tools. Right now, we are just focusing on bringing up RRG and the options tool, the futures option FNO tools, RRG, and the screener. That is just like you can just type and any combinations you can create and you can store it and you can use it as a screener. So that is what we are concentrating on. Backtesting definitely is a part of the phase 2.
Okay.
Yes, that will come up somewhere down the line, Shankaran.
So if you don't mind, I have a couple of related ones as well. Talking about backtesting going forward, do you have a paper trading option or is it still on the
See,
work?
paper trading is actually banned by SEBI. Okay, we are not supposed to build it. Even though some of the platforms have gone against the SEBI rules, we don't wish to go against.
Okay.
So it is presently banned by SEBI for paper trading. So we don't wish to do it.
Okay, just 2 questions before I let you go. One, does Strike have a US data also, or is it related only to Indian data?
No, right now we want to stick to India's this one. But yeah, of course, it's a long term. See, everything is long term. I mean, it's not, the development will not stop here.
Okay.
It will keep going on and on and on. So it will keep growing. It will keep maturing as the time goes by. Of course, we want to cover up even the US stocks somewhere down the line.
Okay, finally, can I put a trade to my broker directly from Strike?
No, that is also in the pipeline. We'll be doing it. Right now, the functionality is not available.
Okay, thank you very much. Best wishes to you guys.
Thank you. I hope you'll enjoy using the Strike, Mr. Shankar.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Mr. Sandeep Garg, you can please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I want to congratulate Indiacharts for this phenomenal tool. I'm very excited to use it. I just had a quick question. Is there any plans of including commodities in the Strike tool?
See, right now, our focus is NSE data. Then we want to bring in BSE and then commodity and currency. Yes, of course. But it will take some time because right now our whole focus is building on the FNO tool. Okay. Which is already going on. Probably this week you will get the futures module live, and next week onwards the options module will go live, and then we want to focus on adding the data, back testing, as I told, the screener and everything. But lot many is coming up. In the next 3 months, 4 months, you might see this as a very robust platform for all your data requirements with all the tools available. Yeah. Yes, Sandeep.
Thank you. And I want to congratulate you guys again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you'll enjoy. Please do share the tool with your fellow traders. Right now it is for free. I'm sure they'll also enjoy using Strike, Sandeep. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sandeep. Next is Vinayak Mathur.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, Vinayak.
First of all, I would like to thank you and Rohit sir for such a wonderful platform, and I also would like to thank Jay for all the midweek sessions. So I have a question here. I am using this platform from couple of weeks. Most of your features are related to like for position trading and all those things. For intraday, one setup which I'm trying it from many people, but I did not find it in any platform. Like for example, can we find a stock which is moving in a 5 minutes with a higher volume of 20 candle average, something like that?
See, right now, since it's a delayed data of 5 minutes, we are concentrated on mostly on swing and positional. Of course, you can do your analysis on intraday also. Okay, but what you are asking for is the screener, which we are going to build it. Okay. Yeah, which you can use it. Yes, there are intraday indicators available. Okay, if you go to the chart section, you can just go on a 5 minutes chart. Okay, you can just go to the 5 minutes chart and you can put your own indicator and you can start using it. Okay. Since we are using TradingView platform, you can use your own indicators over here and you can definitely use it. Of course, what we have done is in terms of scanners, what we have concentrated is the max is 1 hour chart. Okay. And below that, we have not put the scanners, so which we want to do it somewhere down the line. But right now we are concentrated is like hourly basis, daily, weekly, and monthly scanners.
Okay, fine. And there is one more suggestion from my side. Like for example, if we have whatever heat map you have, right? So if we start finding some screeners with a heat map connected, So if you find which are outliers, like for example, where the OI is building up from in past 15 minutes, so that those things will help, will be very helpful.
See, what you can do is you can create your own watch list from the dashboard. Rohit, if you can just go to the dashboard, please. See, you can create your own watch list. Okay. And
Okay.
then what you can do is, yes, of course, the watch list can be used in heat map. That also we are adding it up in the heat map. Okay. So for
Okay.
example, you create your own watch list here, put the stocks, whatever you wish to add it, and then use it in the heat maps. So that will suffice your requirement. That using the watch list specifically in heat map is something we are building it.
Okay, fine.
And in the next 1 week or so, it should be available in the heat maps. Many of them have requested saying that why don't you include only watch list stocks in the heat maps? So that is something we are doing it. It's already the development is on. So probably within a week or so, it should be live.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. Next up is Premal Desai.
Hello, sir. Congratulations, sir, for this help software.
Yeah.
I want only request for intraday trading or strong buying or strong selling alert in your software actually.
Sorry, I didn't get your question, sir. Intraday?
Intraday delay data actually. So we are not find out which stock is intraday high volume or breakout stock actually in your software actually.
See, even though you get everything on the dashboard. If you see, okay, you'll get the 52-week high, low, and all. Of course, we want to go live. We want to have the live data on the platform. We'll do it very soon, and then concentrate on intraday traders also. We'll do something for intraday traders where the analysis becomes easy. So yes, of course, we'll keep this in mind, Premalji, and definitely we'll work towards it.
So one case, one request also. Your Rohit sir Skinner is good actually. So which stock is buy zone, your strong buy zone. So we take a quantity trade in account actually. So we do not find how many stock is very strong or very weak actually. So one kind of once alert you made in software, so you're easy to trade.
The alerts, is it?
Hello.
Yeah.
Alerts.
Yes. Are you asking about the alerts, Mr. Premal?
Yes, sir. Alerts.
Okay, sure. We'll keep this in mind. We'll make a note of it. We'll try to bring the alerts module very soon, Premalji.
Okay, sir. Okay,
yeah.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Karthikeyan Sadashivam.
Good morning, Chavan.
Morning, Karthikeyan.
Thank you for the session. I have a doubt. I went through the session. So, for long term, lower, is it possible to identify like Corona low, whether the reversal is there? How do we identify which indicator you use for long term reversal?
Okay, Rohit, based on sentiment indicators, right, Karthikeyan?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Rohit, I'll just leave it to you to answer.
So there are a couple of long-term indicators. See, one of them is the volume put call ratio. This one, because this doesn't really turn on every movement of the market. Usually only the major turns is where it gets extreme readings.
Okay.
So like this major top, you're down here only when you reach the end of 21 rally or when you reach the end of the 2018 rally. So it doesn't get there like every day. It's like once in a year, once in 2 years. Whenever there is a major up move in the market, it is at the bottom. Similarly, when there is a major down move in the market, it will reach the high. So this is probably a very long-term indicator. In the positioning, I mentioned DII because DII net futures also don't gyrate like the FII so fast. They only reach an extreme at a major turning point, like either at the COVID lows or here at this bottom in 2023 itself. They were extremely long. So there are fewer extreme readings from DIs that can be used slightly longer term. I would combine that with the 40-day. So everything which is, has a higher time frame on it, the 40-day average AD ratio also can be longer term. Now, there are some things I have not discussed because we stuck to sentiment. Like if I go to number of stocks above, so I'll show you another long-term indicator since you asked. I can use number of stocks above the 200-day average, and I can choose Nifty 500, which is a large basket. Okay, now you see this is not an indicator that will go from overbought to oversold every day. It will only happen once in a while. So when it happens once in a while, it's either at this bottom that you'll find this reading at the lower red line, or over down here, or down here, and it hasn't happened again since. So 200-day moving average. So this is under diffusion. Percentage of stocks above 200 DMA on the Nifty 500, so that it's a large basket. Okay, you can actually see what is happening, and it can help you capture most of the major bottoms longer term in the market.
Thank you, Rohit. Thanks.
Okay, Prakash Roy.
Hi, hi, good afternoon.
Good
I've been following Mr. Rohit since last 10 years, and when he used to send me on the Gmail all the levels of the Nifty and Bank Nifty, so that has been a very long time, and so this is now good to see something new has come up. So now I'm a full-time trader basically. So I just want to know how this will help me in terms of index position in options. So will it help me anything with the intraday or positional in terms of options?
Definitely, we are bringing the options module, okay, which we are starting the development next week. Okay, so for options traders, definitely that tool might be of great help. So you'll have to just watch out for that. So that will be live in the next 1 month.
Oh, okay, that's great.
Yeah, so we are covering up even the futures options also. Okay, the right from OI data to option chain, everything will be covered in terms of futures, the OI data, how the buildup is happening, all that is a part of the development. And in options, we have the robust strategy builders, the volatility skew, all the multi-strike OIs, PCR data, everything will be covered over there.
Okay, so as of now, can I use any of your tool for positional or intraday based on index movement? Some kind of position can I take right now using the tool which is available now?
See, again, I didn't get your question. Can you please repeat, Prakash?
Yeah, what I mean to say is that if I wanted to trade in options in index, and is there any tool right now which is available for taking the position? For example, like, as you showed that the momentum is down, so it might change from here, it can reverse. So we can go for a long positions or a long spread or something like that. So anything, any indicator which
See,
which can
that is
guide
what the
me
daily swing, that's a very short-term indicator. Okay, the daily swing is a very short-term indicator, especially made for options traders. Okay, so the daily and the average swing, daily swing is something which is very short-term and might help option traders a lot. You can just start seeing the daily swings, how it behaves. First, go through the data, and then you'll get the confidence in it, and then you can take your decisions accordingly.
Okay, fine. Thanks.
Yeah, because it's a very short-term indicator. It gyrates between 2 to 3 days, as Rohit has already explained in the demo in the webinar today. It's a very short-term indicator. Say like a couple of 100 points, it gyrates between oversold to overbought conditions. So that is specifically made for option traders, I can say.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So next is Abhijit Ghosh.
Good morning, Chavan.
Good morning, sir.
Actually, I would say it is an excellent platform for the traders. But me being an investor, my time horizon is somewhere around, say, 3 to 5 years. So what I find, I've got nothing in this strike platform. I was expecting that, like Rohit sir used to say, that there is a sector rotation. So I wanted something, say what will be the sunrise sectors after 3 to 5 years, and based on the Elliott wave counts, we can drill down upon the fundamentals of the company and take position today, so that say in next 2 to 3 years, 5 years time, we are having multi-baggers in my portfolio.
Sir,
So
see,
Aditya, Chavan,
Yeah.
I'll take this. So,
Yeah.
so Abhijit, firstly, I mean, we haven't completed the entire fundamental module. So over there, once we go to the valuations, okay, we have built those, based on the valuations. Can I share my screen? I can show him the valuation part.
I'll stop it.
Yeah. So I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, Abhijit, basically, see what we are trying to do is that, based on the valuations and all, okay, we will be bringing basically this 1HD, 2HD and all, okay, which would be more from a medium to long term perspective. So like you said that, from investment horizon, if you want to look out for, so wait a second, I'll just show you. So basically, see, this is how it can, really help you from a medium to long term perspective, like, to see the valuation based on the different parameters and whether it is, hitting that 2HD mark or 3HD mark or no. So, typically what happens is that if a stock is, very undervalued, so typically you will see most of the, valuation parameters going to minus 2HD. Okay. And eventually, obviously, we'll bring the scanners as well that, tell, like, you can command the system that, show me the stocks whose PE is below minus 2HD. Okay. So those are the stocks, that can come to your scanner, and then you can obviously do your analysis and see. But the only limited point that I want to make is that, we are still building the system. And, so far what you have seen is basically 50 to 60% of what we have done. Because there are a few more things that are coming, especially more on the fundamental side. So, you can just wait and watch out for that. And
Jay, I get it. There is one suggestion only that I wanted to put out to Indiacharts team.
Yeah.
It is that it has been my observation, there are few government policies, there is a policy decision that has been taken, and based on those policy decisions, there are structurally long-term changes that they come in. Okay. For example, I would say Suzlon Energy, it was, nobody was interested in Suzlon Energy, but then there had been a policy shift. So with that policy shift, Suzlon Energy, if somebody has bought it some, say, 6 to 8 months ago, he is already sitting on a 3x or 4x profits. So I want Strike to include this feature also, in case some government policy decision is being taken. So with this fundamental, a section is there that government policy guidelines, it is expected that these sectors may benefit. It would help me as an investor to, use this scanner and then do my Elliott wave counts, something like that.
So yes, I agree to this, but Abhijit, understand one thing, what we can present is data, okay, and not thing that, it will go up or it will go down. So it eventually boils down to your perception, because, just to be very honest to you, so Suzlon turnaround and all, people have been speaking since 2011. Okay.
Yeah.
So people who would have bought, based on those policy changes in 2011, they would have been in dumps right now.
Right.
Okay. So, everything in the hindsight looks good. But yes, definitely all these sort of scanners will help you to, mine those
filter
stocks.
out. Yeah, I
Yes.
understand that, to
Yes.
filter out. Otherwise, it is excellent platform for trading.
Yes.
And
No. So just one thing, Abhijit, before that, we will eventually be doing a lot more things on fundamentals, in the coming months. which I can assure you can be very, very useful from a medium to long-term perspective, also for the investors. So just give us some time and watch out for this space. So I can definitely assure you that there are a lot of things that are lined up also from a medium to long-term perspective as well.
Jay,
There's
let
something.
me assure you that since 2021 April, I've been associated with Indiacharts, and I'm more than happy. Whatever this strike also, I will be there. I will
Yes.
be regarding the early birds also to get this subscription. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
But I can definitely assure you that a lot more things are lined up, and you just watch out in the next few months.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Jay. I would be very pleased for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Narsimha Murthy. Narsimha Murthy, if you can please unmute yourself and speak. Okay. Mr. Shankaran.
Yes, I'm back again with a small question. The sentiment indicators, pardon my ignorance, are they also applicable on individual stocks or only on the market indices?
Rohit?
On the market.
The sentimental
because
indicator.
sentiment is not particular to a stock. For a particular stock, you can look at stock specific put call ratios.
Okay.
Those will become available when the option section comes in.
Okay.
So then we will be able to look at PCR of a stock as a sentiment, but that is only in derivative related stocks.
Okay.
In other stocks, we may not be able to judge that sentiment.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, the current section is basically market-wide data, so market-wide sentiment.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Murali Krishnan.
Hello, Mr. Chavan. This is Murali Krishna, not Murali Krishnan. I am from Bangalore.
Okay. Yeah.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Rohit. I think in spite of your illness, you are coming and supporting the team and the investors. I think it is a really very good gesture. Thank you very much for that. My first question is on the in strike. When I have seen the data till 2017 only, but you are showing up to 2004. Is it something I am missing to filter?
No, yesterday we added the historical data. In fact, Muraliji.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I will
but
check
apart
again.
from that, till 2012, it should have been visible to you. But maybe, when you click on the daily time frame in trading view, it actually shows you only till 2016 or 17. So
17, yes.
you might have to scroll it and then you have to see the past data.
Yeah. I am scrolling it right now. I am doing scrolling, but not able to see. Let me restart and let me check again. Maybe.
Yeah. Or else you can, contact us. Maybe we can take it one-on-one and we can see what is the issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second question is how to read the daily sentiment indicator with the IC. You are sending the daily sentiment indicators in numbers. So how to just read it?
See, daily sentiment indicator, Muraliji, we cannot cover it over here in strike. Okay. Yeah, we are not covering the DSI in strike.
No. I'm just the table you are sending, no, every day.
Yes.
So how to just how to read that? How I can understand from that whether.
See, again, that also works on overbought, oversold zones below 10 and above 90.
Yeah.
Even the DSI.
So basically, Murli, the way it works is that if the reading is above 90 for something, okay, which means that 90% of the people are actually bullish on that particular commodity or stock or index, whatever it will be. Okay. So typically it, sends us a contra signal that because everyone is very bullish on this stock, okay, or index, then there is a chance that there can be a reversal over there. Now, whether that reversal is a short-term reversal or a medium-term reversal is something which, probably the wave counts or the medium to long-term structure will help us understand that. Similarly, when it comes to the downside, when the reading comes to around 10 or so, it actually becomes extremely, oversold zones. Okay, and that.
I think what I'll do, Jay, is in the educate yourself, let me write a note on DSI. I think a couple of people have asked, so I think I should write a note. But yeah, you've broadly explained it. I mean, extreme readings are what we are looking for. Like recently, at the recent bottom in S&P just 6 days ago, the reading on S&P had come to 10. Okay, and from there, 5 days later, you have a 7% move on the upside. So the extreme readings more than 90% and less than 10% is when it is relevant. Then when it reaches those levels, we look at the wave structure and the chart pattern and say whether it is looking like, at the end of something. So if I'm in the fifth wave, on the way down or on the way up, and if I get a reading above 90%, then I'm sure, much more sure that it is close to turning around very soon. So that's how you do it. I'll write a also, which will make it easier.
Yeah. So,
for example, just a minute to clarify. See, for example, I am just opened the 31st October sentiment indicator.
Yeah.
There is a raw 3 MA, 5 MA, 9 MA, and 18 MA.
Yeah.
So you are talking about these numbers only, right?
I'm talking about the raw. I'm looking at the raw numbers only every day, mostly.
Okay. So got it.
So I mostly refer to the raw when I'm analyzing.
Okay.
They have given 3 and 5 because sometimes there are some indicators which will remain overbought continuously. So if the 5-day and 3-day also reach 90%, it is also a different type of warning.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Srivastava. Again.
Yeah. So those who are watching this webinar, what you can do is you can click on the help section, and all the things have been explained over here. Okay, you can watch these videos. You can also raise a ticket if you want any help, or if you want to raise a ticket in any of the bug fixes or anything. You can write it over here. Definitely, we'll be responding to it. And of course, you'll get the system updates as to what all we are updating. You can just keep a track of the latest developments of strike in the system updates. Info videos for your understanding. Just click over here, the video will open, you can go through it. So with this, next question is from Kamalpreet. Yes, Kamalpreet. Kamalpreet? Okay, Ashok Nyadish. Ashok ji, you are not audible. Okay, there seems to be a problem with both the thing. Praveen, okay, I'll just allow you to. Okay, Praveen, I've allowed you to unmute. Please ask your question. Yes.
सर मैं प्रवीण करके कर्नाटक से बात कर रहा हूँ। ये मोमेंटम स्विंग है ना, इसमें एवरेज स्विंग अभी वो पीक नहीं हुआ है और डेली स्विंग में पीक भी हो गया है। अभी कौन सा हमें लेना पड़ेगा?
आपका क्वेश्चन समझ में नहीं आ रहा है प्रवीण जी।
सर अभी आपके मोमेंटम स्विंग है ना, एवरेज स्विंग अभी नीचे है, वो इसके ट्रेंड लाइन लगाए तो वो टच होता है, ऐसा है प्रीवियस हाई के हिसाब से। डेली स्विंग में क्या हुआ है, अभी पीक हो गया है, अभी 90 से 90 तक को जाके उधर अभी
Momentum swing. Chavan, he is talking about the momentum swing, average swing and the daily swing. So he's talking about the average swing is not taken the peak. So which one we should consider? So I think for daily he should consider daily, and I think Rohit can be.
And one more thing is it available in hourly time frame?
No, it's only on daily time frame.
सर कौन सा अभी कैसा हमें अभी कौन सा देख के हमें ट्रेड करना पड़ेगा अभी?
मोमेंटम स्विंग में एवरेज स्विंग या डेली स्विंग?
No, I see both. The combination of both is also useful and standalone is also useful. Daily swing is the first thing I look at. Okay, because daily swing tells me the immediate number कि ये 90% हो गया, तो इसका मतलब अगले 1-2 दिन में कहीं पे रुक सकता है.
अच्छा.
ओके, ये डेली स्विंग से पता चलता है. एवरेज स्विंग से ये पता चलता है कि अगर डेली और एवरेज दोनों एक साथ ऊपर हैं, हाईएस्ट पे हैं, तो शायद थोड़ा 2-4 दिन तक भी रुक सकता है. स्लाइटली, हाँ, थोड़ा मीडियम, मतलब कुछ टाइम, एक हफ्ता तक भी अटक सकता है अगर दोनों ऊपर हैं या दोनों नीचे हैं साथ में.
So probably you can click on that indicator and you can plot average swing and daily swing both together. No, over here, sir.
No, so
that may help to give him that visual.
I didn't think I can put both together. See, अभी मैंने दोनों साथ में डाल दिया है. Now see, if I take a period, I have to take a vertical line. Okay, यहाँ पे ये ऊपर वाला भी एक्सट्रीम में नहीं पहुंचा था, यहाँ पे दो सब पहुंच गए थे. ओके, एंड दूसरा यहाँ पे बॉटम पे सब पहुंच गए थे नीचे. सो व्हेन ऑल ऑफ दीज 4 हैव रीच्ड अप हियर टुगेदर, मतलब आगे जाके दो थोड़ा ज्यादा अटक सकता है.
अटकना मतलब मार्केट उधर ही रेंज बाउंड हो जाएगा.
हाँ, कुछ टाइम के लिए, 2-4 दिन के लिए.
अच्छा.
ओके
सर, वन मोर क्वेश्चन है.
या
सर, अभी ये टेक्निकल स्कैनर है ना, उसमें अभी डाउ स्कैनर गया तो उधर सिर्फ वो लाइन चार्ट दिख रहा है, वो चेंज करने के लिए नहीं होता है वो?
नहीं सर, वो क्या है ना, कलर किया है. जब भी वो डाउ ट्रेंड में जब ट्रेंड चेंज हो जाता है अपसाइड की तरफ, सो वो ग्रीन में प्लॉट करते हैं. जब भी वो ट्रेंड डाउन हो जाते हैं, वो रेड में प्लॉट कर रहे हैं. तो इसके लिए लाइन चार्ट यूज कर रहे हैं हम लोग.
एंड एक्चुअली वो फिक्स्ड स्क्रीन है, मतलब आप उसमें ऑल्टर नहीं कर सकते.
ऑल्टर नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज वो ट्रेंड दिखाने के लिए कि डाउन है या अप है, तो हमेशा आपके लिए हम ग्रीन यूज करते हैं ना, तो इसके लिए ग्रीन यूज कर रहे हैं उधर डाउ ट्रेंड पे.
वो डिफॉल्ट ही रहेगा वो.
हाँ, वो डिफॉल्ट ही रहेगा, सो दैट वो बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए.
अच्छा सर, ओके. थैंक यू सर.
थैंक यू. ओके, नेक्स्ट अप is okay. No, see, the strike can be used only on laptop and desktop and not on the mobile right now because it's not mobile friendly. We have not built a mobile app right now, so you have to use it on the laptop or the desktop only. So next up is Kanishka. I have unmuted you. You can please ask your doubts.
Yeah, hi. Hi. Yeah, I just kind of first time I've seen it and I quite like it, what you guys have done. I have a few suggestions. So like, I think there was a previous speaker who's more of a fundamental person and of course takes help from the technical side to, understand whether the trend is going to be stronger in the future. So my suggestion would be that there is a lot of information in this particular thing. So is it possible when you build the fundamental side of it, you actually create sections? So for a person like me or anybody, instead of getting drowned in data, let's say if I'm a fundamental investor, I'm looking for positional investments. So I just click on that section and I actually get into much more detailed in terms of the trends which are getting built, whether there's a potential sector rotation happening or certain stocks are showing divergence in terms of going up in the future, or there are trends building in the fundamental side, which also has some sort of a technical data which is infused. So that kind of a thing would really help if there is a separate section created for the fundamental the investors who follow more of fundamental and take positional calls. So this was my point.
I think Kanishka, your query might be resolved through once we get through the peer comparison thing. Okay, we are building that module actually, that is in the pipeline. So over there, you can probably go through, what we can say, we obviously have those custom fields which you can put in, okay, for your favorite stocks. Okay, and so over there we basically have all the technical parameters, the fundamental parameters, and price performance parameters. Okay, so I think when you combine that, maybe I think your query should be solved. So
no, what I was
yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm interjecting. So what I was trying to say is that, as you said, there are two parts. One, a person who's well initiated has an understanding. Maybe that person is little more in terms of understanding. The person can create watch list and is tracking something. I'm talking about people who are not, at that level. Maybe they are out of, let's say, level 10. Maybe let's say I'm operating at level 5. So I still don't know where those kind of things are happening. So if your system can, if on certain click of button, if it can create a list of those companies which are showing that kind of a trend which is moving in that direction, so it will help me to then further go in and study them. I may not have the ability to identify them, but if the system can help me on certain parameters where the system finds that strength is building, and this could be a future potential investment. I'm talking from that point.
So in this case, are you talking more on the price performance thing or the fundamental parameter thing?
No, I'm talking more from the price performance. So I'll give you an idea. A suggestion here that let us say there's a company which there is a turnaround happening and there is an accumulation going on. Now, in the technical trends, you generally get an idea that, okay, this particular stock is the trend is getting stronger. It is, it's getting accumulated, and at the same time, the fundamentals also getting better of that stock. So there are certain parameters which you can actually you can calculate. Now, if there is a list of those companies which are showing a change of trend, now I'm not asking you to give me an advice or asking me to or pushing me to invest. I'm saying if you highlight that, then the rest of the job I have to do.
Right. I understood.
I will do my studies based on that.
Got it. So basically, see, once we are done building this fundamental module, okay, there are fundamental scanners also which we'll be building it. Basically, that will identify the turnaround stories or basically improving margins and etc. So I think that is what you're talking about, right? Like
yes. In fact, there was a gentleman who came before me, and he put a very important point, saying that if there is a let's say a positional call has to be taken. Now the positional calls can be 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, up 3 and 5 years, right? Now it's sure that you cannot predict more than 2 years. It's very difficult. But my sense is that study should be done at my end. Whether it works or it fails, it's my responsibility. But the system is showing those trends. Now, I think he was giving an example of Suzlon, if I'm correct. Now, as an investor, that person may have 10 reasons to invest in Suzlon, but I may not like that company because of certain fundamental reasons not to invest. But what I'm saying is that it actually tracks Suzlon and puts on the screen on certain parameters. Then and your tracker tells that on what point Suzlon qualifies, or maybe XYZ company qualifies, and what is the trend building. Then I go further deep and study. So what happens is your system prepares me 50% already there, and the balance 50% is my ability to dig and do my research and take an investment. So for a fundamental investor, see, you will understand on the technical trends are very short term, so it's very easy to understand, but I'm not a qualified guy. But for a fundamental guy, there are a lot of numbers, a lot of trends, and there is a quantitative factor which goes in, or qualitative factor which goes in rather than quantitative. So it's a mix of both. That's why I was thinking, because I don't see any presence on the web where I find something of that sort.
So basically, see, right now fundamentals ka basics is what we have built in. Okay, so like I showed you, that valuation thing is in the pipeline. Okay, and post that we will be actually building fundamental scanners as well, which I think will probably suffice your needs, or maybe that might be something that you're looking out for. So yes, so peer comparison, then fundamental scanners is something that is already in pipeline, and we are working towards that. So basically, over there you might have those turnaround stories or consistently growing companies or something of those sorts, which will help you to screen those kind of stocks which you are looking out for.
Yeah, but Jay, what he's trying to say, what I understand, is predefined. One is key,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
define it, and
Correct.
it is saying you predefine and show that this is where something is happening.
Yes, I understood his question, Rohit.
Yeah.
So what he wants is a set of data which we feel that, okay, it's a turnaround story based on this for long-term investors, short-term investors, and medium-term investors.
Absolutely.
And then it will be up to him to decide whether is this the right thing or no. Okay.
Right.
He is not forcing us to say that this is the right thing, but show the data bifurcated between long-term, short-term, and medium-term. It's a great suggestion, Kanishk. We'll definitely look into it. Probably after building everything now, we might have predefined scanners.
We'll have one screen which has scans of technical, fundamental, everything, showing you what are the best.
Yes.
Definitely,
Thank you so much.
It's an excellent suggestion. I was thinking about this, but it's one of the best suggestions we have got. Definitely, we'll work on this. But again, the problem is it becomes biased when we do it. Rather than that, we should give the people to decide what they want, and they can develop their own screens for long term, short term, and medium term. That can also be an option.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you. We'll definitely look into this. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Mehul.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
Sir, can you go to any of the stock, Reliance and the chart and the ROIC momentum indicator?
Yeah.
So suppose I'm in a daily mode.
Okay.
So now from whatever I've selected, whatever lines, whatever I've drawn. So now when I go to another stock, it is not landing in the same page. It is landing from the overview. So can that be set? So suppose now.
Yes, we are working on that. That is a bug. We'll solve that. It's only in the stock section what is happening right now. Everywhere else, the slug is working, but except the stock section, we'll definitely resolve it.
So and same thing when we go to the watch list.
Mm-hmm.
So now the Tata. So can we have the ROIC momentum indicator directly below it? There's options and future selectable things. So can we have directly the RMI below it?
What happens, Mehul? There are certain sections which are free. Okay, then there are certain sections which will be paid. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And RMI is paid, but dashboard is for free for all the users to use it. Okay. When we get on to the payment mode, that is the subscription model. What will happen is the rest of the things will be paid, but this dashboard will be for free. So the paid things cannot be brought here. So we'll figure it out what to be done.
Yeah, at least for a subscriber, there should be something easy.
Of course. In the indicator section, it can be logged. In the indicator section, it can be logged. That is something we'll do it.
Very easy, so that my watch list are this, so I want to see the RMI just below it.
Sure, got it, Mehul. We have taken this feedback, we'll do it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, Krishnamurthy. You can unmute, please, Krishnamurthy.
Thanks, Chavan. Thanks, Rohit sir, for this great session. Following Rohit sir for quite some time, so don't miss such some presentation often. A couple of things I've noticed in the strike platform is one right now is a few minutes back Jay showed that adding average swing, daily swing, push comments in a particular chart. So can that be saved as a template, because I could not able to set it in my screen?
See, sentiment indicators and diffusion, we have not allowing the users to store it as a template. Okay. Because that is not applicable for stocks, the
Not
daily
the
swing, average swing.
No, not the stocks, only the index.
Yes. So I understood, Krishnamurthy, we can probably think of adding that. So that would be then relevant only to the sentiment screen. So basically, the moment you try to apply that template on, say, the dashboard or something, then it will throw you an error, basically. So yes. Yeah. So this is something definitely we can think upon. I'll just note that down.
And second thing is, in my in Sir's screen, I can see the Nifty 50 on the top of next to the heat maps. I could not able to get that. I'm trying to get that for last quite some time. I could not able to get that. How do you get that here? I can able to each and every time I'm going to the search option, and then I'm scanning, and then I'm seeing that. Once I
What
done,
exactly you are looking for? Nifty 50.
yeah, Nifty 50.
And just type Nifty 50 here.
I'm doing that every time.
Yeah, it's over here only, no?
I think you're not getting my point. The point is in the top, not here, sir. In the main main screen, when you, yeah, that particular next to the heat map, it is fixed, I think, or it is that particular menu. It's coming up whenever you're without typing, or if you go and check in histories, it is there. But for some reason, I'm not getting that saved in my history. Is there anything I need to set it up?
No, so every time I open it, it is always once whatever tabs are open, even if I shut this and then I open it again.
Yeah, everything is coming except the Nifty 50. Yeah, that is what I'm saying.
Oh,
it is
coming. Actually, that is something then. So it might be happening only in his screen.
But why?
Need to check
Can you just send a screenshot after this meet? Krishnamurthy, if you can send me the screenshot, I will. I'm sending you.
Yeah, I can see other means whatever the charts I opened. So apart from the Nifty 50, all the things remains.
Yeah, just send me a screenshot on the WhatsApp number, what I've forwarded you in the chat. Okay, so I'll definitely look into it. I'm not sure why this issue is coming. I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, in fact, a small video would be very helpful.
Sure, I will try. I will try to get that.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Krishnamurthy. So I guess any other questions, please, you can raise your hands. We'll allow you to unmute. You can ask your questions. So if not, we are done for the day. So yeah, please keep using Strike. Yes, Amrut. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the webinar. I had a question on the PCR data. Is the PCR data what we have been seeing? Is it from weekly, monthly, or it's combined?
Daily. It's all daily. Every day reported by NSEs being used.
Sorry, Rohit, I couldn't hear.
It's all daily.
It's all daily data. It says 1 day over here, so it's all daily.
Okay.
All sentiment indicators are on a daily basis updated.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. I hope every one of you can put it in the chat bot, whether you're using Strike, how's been your experience before we wind up the session. There's a chat. You can just put forth your views, or else you can go to the help section in the tool and you can raise your requirements. So with this, let's wind up today's webinar.